You are listening to the Willpower Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am Will Holdren, and I talk with some of the most influential CEOs, entrepreneurial leaders, and thought leaders to try and reveal the secrets that has led to their success. I believe that with the right knowledge and mindset, you can do anything you set your mind to. So if you want to learn how to change your life for the better, if you want to learn how millionaires actually became wealthy, or if you want to develop and start your own business from the ground up with the right knowledge to help you, then you are in the right place because this is the Willpower Podcast. I cannot wait to introduce you to today's guest, but first, if you have enjoyed an episode, then please open up Apple Podcasts and hit that subscribe button. And if you think we deserve it, scroll to the bottom, select write a review, and leave us a 5-star rating with a review that states where you are from and one aspect of the show that you love. Once you do that, send me a screenshot and I will feature you on a future show and shout you out on my Instagram that has over 10,000 followers. Now let's get to the show with our newest guest.
No way that we go is a one-way street. Nothing that we love is a one-day key. And if we gon' do it, we gon' do this now. And if we say we gon' hold this down.
How's it going, guys? My name is Will Holdren, and I am the host of the Willpower Podcast. Today, our special guest is Jon Missirlian. And Jon is a realtor that is with eXp, and he's actually a top realtor. So it's an honor to have him on here. So Jon, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome, Will. Thanks for having me on today.
Of course, my pleasure. So to start off, I kind of want to go way back into your childhood. So can you kind of touch on your childhood a little bit, what it was like and how it kind of affected you?
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that we were going to start with that. Let's see. Well, I did not have dreams of being a real estate agent, but I was highly competitive as a young man and as a kid. I played sports my whole life, primarily hockey. So grew up playing team sports from the time I was 5 years old until college. Then took some time off, and then even played after that. And I'm 46 years old now, and I still play a little bit of hockey. And I just think that has really translated to my business career. I collaborate with my company, eXp Realty. I collaborate with a ton of agents. I think I have 88 agents on my team now. In like 5 or 6 different states and 2 countries, actually. So I don't know. I think having a background in sports definitely helps. Keeps the competitive juices flowing. I'm always trying to best another agent or another team that I'm not just best, but there's always people to look up to, I think, in real estate, which is nice.
Yeah. I play 3 sports throughout high school. I play a sport in college right now as well, and I definitely feel the teamwork part of the playing a sport and being able to become a leader kind of and build those skills that, like you said, translate over into business later on into your life. So you mentioned that your dream was not to become a realtor. So what was your dream as a kid?
To be a professional hockey player, 100%.
Hockey player.
And when I got to be about 18 and I realized that might not happen, I would say I was lost for a little while. It gives me a little anxiety to even think about that back then, because I was so lost as an 18-year-old kid, which I think a lot of kids are when they're transitioning from high school to college. And I had a rough time. I went to 2 different colleges. I had a good time in both colleges, but I had a rough time in the sense of finding like who I was going to be. And, from age 18 to like 23, I would say, I made a lot of great friends and I had a great time. And like, I think a lot of people should get that stuff out of you at a young age. But when I was 23, I found my first sales job as a mortgage broker, and that's where I kind of realized my entrepreneurial fire inside, I guess. I didn't even know it was there. And I think that translates again to sports. And, with sports, it's kind of all or nothing, right? You either win or you lose. And that's what it is with entrepreneurials and commission type jobs, like being a mortgage broker, which I was for, 5 or 6 years. And then I transitioned to being a real estate broker. I think it's just a lot different mentality than a 9-to-5 job.
Gotcha.
And I never was scared. It's interesting. I was never scared about that right away. I had one admin job working for Walgreens corporate out of college, and I absolutely hated it. Like 9 to 5, you're 5 minutes late, you get reprimanded. You're sitting at a desk doing nothing for like hours, and then, it just wasn't me. And as soon as I got my first taste of a commission job, I loved it, and I was not scared of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially when you're making the commission, that makes it better. So before we jump into your real estate career, I kind of touch on one topic. You said when you were 18, you kind of felt lost. And like you mentioned, a lot of kids today go through the same emotions, same feelings. They feel lost. They don't know if their college is the right decision. They don't know if their major is the right decision. So kind of walk me through. So if someone's like that age going through that process, they feel lost, what would you recommend for them to feel unlost and kind of get out of that and kind of head into the right direction, even if it's not 100% sure?
Try a lot of things. You don't have to be sure. I actually think there's too many kids these days that are like, Will, what you're doing here is awesome, right? I think it's just so cool. Your age. How old are you? Are you in college?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore in college. I'm 19.
So not many kids are doing this, right? And this is awesome that you're doing it. But I think a lot of kids should trust the process too. Experience things, maybe, do podcasts like this, do an internship. If you don't know you want to go into finance as a sophomore, no big deal, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do till I was 25, and I still sometimes don't know exactly 100% what I want to do because I have this entrepreneurial kind of mindset and I want to do a lot of things. So I guess what I'd recommend to kids is don't worry about it. Like, just have the experiences, and there's a lot of stuff out there that wasn't there when I was like, Gary Vaynerchuk and so like, it's cool to be an entrepreneur, right? But like, if you want to be, and if that speaks to you, right? Like, you don't have to be if that doesn't speak to you. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, I think a lot of, I was watching the Logan Paul fight last night, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that easy to be Logan and Jake Paul. And I'm not saying don't dream about that, but like, realize you got a lot of time in this world and you don't have to have every decision made by 21 or even 25. So,
right.
So
yeah, I totally agree with that.
Many experiences.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's something I even struggle with in my own life. Like, I'm majoring in something. I don't know if I really want to do that, but just like you're talking about, like, you just need to kind of trust the process, see where life takes you, because most of the time, you're not even going to go into that field that you get your degree from anyway. So things can definitely change in a hurry.
Well, exactly. And I, brings me to my life when I'm 46 now. About 5 years ago, I wanted to transition from being kind of a solo agent running around, having to be wherever a buyer and seller is, wherever they need me, right? And I wanted to build a team. And what I did was I tested myself, actually. I went to Europe for 30 days.
Wow.
And I wanted to see if the people that I had back in Chicago at the time that I had kind of working with me, doing showings, handling buyers and sellers, sitting inspections, I wanted to see if they really could do it without me being there. And everything was fine. Everything worked out. And you know what also happened? I met my future wife in Europe. I mean, wow. It turned out to be life-changing. And then I met her in Amsterdam, and I actually came back from Amsterdam And by the way, I was not high. I was sober in Amsterdam. Everyone always jokes about like, oh, you met her in Amsterdam. Oh, what were you smoking? But no, I met her there, and I came back to Chicago and realized that I could be anywhere in the world and still make a living. So then I went to Brazil because that's actually where she was from. So I went from Amsterdam back to Chicago, then visited her in Brazil to see if it was really a real thing. And it was, and we fell in love, and she moved to Chicago. Now we live in South Florida, and I run a team in Florida. In Chicago, I actually have people in Portugal that are working within our organization. So it's,
Wow.
If I never went to Europe, who knows, right? So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Got to take some chances. In college, what was your major? Like, did you major in real estate?
Sorry, I'm like dropping water on myself. No, I mean there was no real estate major then. I majored in political science. My father was an attorney, so I thought maybe I'd go that route. And honestly, college, I just wanted to have a good time. I pretty much just wanted to have a good time until I was about 30, and then I started to get real serious about, not really serious, but a little more serious about life and finding my life partner, business, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But back to college, like I didn't declare my major until I had to. And then that just again, I felt a little lost, I think, but trying to figure out who I wanted to be. But again, I think I was trusting my experiences though at the same time. And I was, I made a lot of good friends and good connections. And, if I was strict, like freshman year, I'm going to be a doctor and that's all I want to be. And I don't know, I could have been successful too, but like, who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
You got to go with, I think, not your head, with your heart, in your gut. You got to figure out like, just because your dad's an attorney doesn't mean you have to be an attorney. Just because your parents are pushing you to be a doctor doesn't mean, if you don't feel it, you're probably not going to feel it in a year or 2 years. And God forbid you're 32 years old and you're finally out of medical school, because that's literally how long it takes sometimes. And you're finally making the big bucks, but you hate it. Right? So.
Yeah, that would suck. So you also mentioned that you kind of flipped your switch at around 30. You started trying to, work more on yourself and focus on your businesses, your marriage, stuff like that. So what made you flip that switch, and what was your mindset change, and why did you come across it? Because I know a lot of kids today, they still struggle with that, to even like start focusing on the business, look for their future, plan for the future. So how were you able to do that, and what made you do that?
Well, I mean, I'm probably, I'm double your age. I'm 46, and when we grew up, there wasn't the entrepreneurial mindset. Like no one even dabbled in the market. It was just more like, go get a job, so I didn't have the pressures I think that you guys had. So again, I just kind of wanted to have a good time. And, I was always making, from the age of 25 on, I was always making six figures, always making like $100,000. But I didn't have that fire to make 250 grand or 500 or $1 million, until I really don't know what it was. I think I got tired of maybe doing the same shit that, you do in your 20s. Like you can only go to the same bar, so many times, right? You can only, I just wanted something new. My personality type is like an adventurer, so I always need something new, and this was just another kind of phase of my life. I'm like, okay, I'm done partying, I'm done chasing girls, chasing a good time, let's settle down a bit. So
Gotcha. So out of college, then you said your first job was a salesperson for a mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
I think correct. So how long were you doing that, and how did that go?
I was a mortgage broker until it was really good. It was my first taste of real money, right? Like I remember before I was a mortgage broker, I thought $40,000 was a lot, and it was. I closed the deal, and I made. Sorry, let me just adjust my camera here. I made like 10 grand on a commission. And I'm like, oh my God, I made 10 grand, right? Like I almost felt like it was stealing. I remember. So after that, I was hooked. And I think that's what people that do commission jobs, they get hooked on. It's like take you back to athletics. It's like you won, you had a closing, you won, you made 5 grand, 10 grand, or 100 grand, right? Whatever. Yeah. So I did that until the market crashed. And if you've ever seen The Big Short, which I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. That literally happened. I had a mortgage company with my brother, and all the banks stopped lending. So the only banks that were left were like Chase and Bank of America, and we had a bunch of loans in the pipeline, and we just couldn't close them. So I had to transition, and I had my real estate license, and so I transitioned into real estate.
Wow, awesome. So yeah, I watched The Big Short. Didn't really understand it, but I definitely watched it.
It's confusing. Don't worry. It's very confusing. Even for someone that was in it, it's confusing.
Yeah. So you and your brother had a mortgage company then where you guys were doing the loans and stuff like that, and then you couldn't close them, just like you said, correct? So you guys pretty much just went bankrupt then, right? During that time period?
Well, not so much bankrupt, but like we couldn't make any more money. We actually had a branch of a mortgage company. So luckily we transitioned quickly into doing real estate and representing buyers, sellers, and renters. And actually back then, and we're talking like 2008, we represented a lot of renters in the city of Chicago. Because that is when the mortgage industry collapsed and people really weren't buying, right? So there's a lot of renters in these major markets that rent in high rises, New York, Boston, Chicago, Miami. And they pay commission. These buildings pay commission, and that's what we did for a couple of years, and did pretty well with it.
So do you think that anything like that could happen again in the future? Something like the Big Short kind of, that scenario?
It's a really good question, and you're starting to see rumblings about it. It's just weird, like I just had a deal where the list price was $509,000 and my buyer bid $551,000 with an appraisal waiver, and he won the multiple offer situation. There were 17 other offers or something, or 18, I don't even know, and we won. But it was almost like he almost felt like he didn't win. Because he's like, shit, I'm paying $52,000 or $42,000 over the asking price. Is this really smart, right?
Yeah.
The fact that there's appraisal waivers going on a lot of these deals now it's reminiscent of 2008. It really is.
Right.
The difference is there's no inventory now. But there's no inventory because there was a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions for so long. So no one's really moving, except people that want big money for their houses. So I don't know, it's a weird market. It really is.
Yeah. And so kind of looking at the market, like when do you think things are going to return back to normal? Like the inventory levels are going to return back to normal. Do you see that happening anytime soon?
I don't know. You know what the worst question is for a realtor? And you'll get this when you finally get licensed. Oh geez, now I forgot the worst question. When they ask you, so what do you think about the market?
Yeah, unpredictable.
You can't predict it. And I get that question all the time, or something related to that question, like, oh, what are your feelings on the market, John? Like, I don't know. It's so hard to predict. If I could predict it, I wouldn't have owned 5 properties during the crash, right? That's what's interesting. So that's what your generation doesn't remember. I mean, you were just too young, right? This was 13 years ago. You were like, what, 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
Did I guess your age right? Are you 20?
I'm 6. Well, I would have been 6 years younger. I'm 19.
You're 19. Okay.
Close.
So, and your parents are probably close to my age. But my parents are in their 70s. And that generation, the safe bet was in houses. And that was passed on to my generation. So not that many people there was nothing going on like AMC and BlackBerry and Robinhood, like all this shit, like that didn't exist. Like the only people that were trading were in that business day to day. And even my parents, they weren't trading. They had IRAs and 401ks and stuff like that. So the only safe bet was real estate, or so they thought, right? And that's what they passed down to us. So I remember when I bought my 4th condo in Orlando. I actually owned 2 in Chicago, 1 in Michigan, and I bought my 4th condo in Orlando. We had 2 appraisals. The first appraisal did not appraise out. That should have been a red flag, right?
Yeah, you think.
I had to get I think I had to get a whole new lender, if I remember. And they ordered a second appraisal and appraised out. And I was buying this as like a spec condo, and the investment company was guaranteeing me 2 years of rent. So basically it was paying my mortgage for 2 years and I didn't have to worry about it. So I ignored the red flag like 99% of buyers did back then. And 2 years after I bought it for $355,000, it was worth $70,000. I had a renter in there that was only paying $1,200, and my mortgage was $2,400. So it was a complete collapse of colossal standards. I mean, The Big Short was real. No one believed any of that was going to happen. It's because our parents were telling us that, just invest in real estate. And worse, what we started to think was, because it started to level off a little, and what we thought was, well, worst case scenario, it'll just level off, right? It won't collapse. Well, it collapsed. And it wasn't just in Florida. It was in Illinois. It was in Vegas. It was in California. It was, when I was a mortgage broker, there were mortgage companies that were giving people loans 125% on the value of the house. So you could buy a house for $400,000. The mortgage company would give you a $500,000 loan. So you could buy the house for $400,000 and then still have $100,000 in your pocket. I mean, it makes no sense, right?
Right. Yeah. Not a good recipe.
No, it was a recipe for disaster. And there's a lot of fraud going on with the appraisers and mortgage brokers. Yeah. So.
Yeah. If I was going through that, I'd be really scared. So after you went through that, did you ever have thoughts in your mind like, okay, I got to get out of real estate? Like, this is not it. Did you ever go through that?
Actually, I don't remember going through it. You know why though? Because I wanted to get out of the mortgage business anyways. I just didn't start to like where it was going. Basically, anyone with a heartbeat could get a mortgage license. And I saw fraud. I mean, I literally saw people with applications taking them to the window and forging signatures. So I wanted to get out of that business.
I guess that was your way out then.
Yeah, and you know what's cool about real estate too? It's like you show someone the house or you list their home, and then when it's under contract, I mean, your job isn't done, but you don't have to get involved in like if this person's approved or not. You know, you don't have to go through I hated that stuff for some reason. So yeah, I didn't really. I mean, I always had kind of thoughts about like, God, I wish I was working in hockey, right? Because that was my dream, right? Like playing hockey, and then I thought about working in hockey. But I started coaching a couple teams, and I was making, it was either volunteer or I was making like $10 an hour, and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever gonna make money, you know, doing something like this unless you're really high level, right? And so
yep. Yeah, for sure. So kind of fast forwarding, now you got your real estate license, and now you're more on the agent side, helping buyers and sellers. And you're also a really good agent. I saw a post on Instagram where you were like top 2% or something in EXP, which is pretty cool. So
yeah.
So for people that are when we want to become real estate agents, like what does it take to become a really good one and one of the best, in your opinion?
Depends on when you first start, you need to find a good mentor or a top producer. You need to find a good company. Take a lot of classes, I think, in the beginning. It's funny, one of my mentors says the most conversations wins, and I use that all the time. So it doesn't matter if you're working with buyers, sellers, if you're trying to attract agents to your team, which is that's really big for me right now. I'm trying to build a kind of a global team. It's having the most conversations, right? And it's faking it till you make it. Like you're not a real estate agent yet, Will, but you're going to become one. And I think as soon as you become one, you're probably not going to lead with, oh, hey, I've only been an agent for like 1 week. Will you, can I list your home? Right?
No.
So, the average person knows 7 realtors, right? So, and think about that. That's a lot, right? So like, what's going to set you apart? You're going to be knowledgeable about the area. You got to be confident. You got to be, and again, find a good mentor. Heck, find someone like me or me. I mean, give me a call. I can train anyone, anywhere, in any type of real estate too. So,
awesome. Yeah, and that's just as important as it is in real estate with any other industry. Like finding that mentor, give you that guideline. Don't reinvent the wheel. Try to find someone to help you out. So, out of all the brokerages that are out there, why did you choose EXP, and why is EXP the best one to go with?
So I. In my 17-year career of doing mortgages and real estate, had my own thing a few times. I have been with other big brands. I was with Coldwell Banker for a long time. I saw the EXP model actually all the way back in 2012, but I wasn't, my gate was not open, as they say. Until about a year and a half ago, I looked at it, and for me, it was a no-brainer. And actually, I think for any agent, it's a no-brainer. With EXP, there's 3 different ways to make money. So you can make money representing buyers and sellers, and that's how you make money with every other brokerage. But with EXP, it's a publicly traded company. They give you free stock for doing transactions. And then the third way, there's a revenue share system where it rewards you for referring agents to the company. And that can get quite lucrative. These agents can be part of your team. Like for me, a lot of them are part of my team. I have agents in Chicago. I have agents throughout Florida, Atlanta, Portugal. I got 13 agents in Portugal. It's crazy. You could never do this on a team at any other brokerage. So I think the stock the revenue share. And then, for new agents, this is really big. There's 60 to 80 classes in the cloud every single week. You can just log in, take a class. You take a class from a top producer like me. So I think those are like maybe the three biggest reasons. The connectivity of EXP. We don't have any bricks and mortar. So we're really tech heavy. And we just have the best systems out there because we don't have any bricks and mortar. So we have to have really good connectivity to the 55,000 agents that we have.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, it seems like it's definitely the best. Just like you're talking about the different ways you get paid and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. So now you said you had a team of like 88 people, I think, 13 in Portugal, which is really impressive. So how do you go about building a team and recruiting people? Because it's so hard to build a team, whether it's in this industry or another industry. So how do you go about that process and actually making it work?
How do I go about recruiting people, or how do I go about?
Let's do recruiting, and building a team.
Well, everything I discussed, I think I have a lot of experiences, a lot of knowledge. I'm licensed in 3 different states. EXP is unique in the sense that you can build a team, multi-state, multi-country. I just have a lot of conversations. I have, I didn't know who you were before this podcast, and I just said, yes, let's do a podcast. Like, who knows where it can come? Who knows where it can go from here? Maybe someone sees it. Maybe you're interested. Maybe if you can refer me someone, who knows, right? So I talked to a lot of agents. I talked to a lot of buyers. I talked to a lot of sellers. A lot of people say this term a lot. You can't be a secret agent. No matter what you're doing, you cannot be a secret agent unless all you want to do is work with your mom and dad, right? Or maybe your sister and brother. Yeah. Like, people have to know what you do. And you know what? I don't care if you're like, I don't like social media. Like, then maybe you need to find some other job, because the best real estate agent is not the most successful real estate agent and biggest teams. They're not necessarily the best ones. They're the best marketers. They're the best at video. They're the best at email blasts. They're the best at, so yeah, I think that kind of explains it.
Definitely. Very good answer. And for people that want to reach out to you, like, how can they go about finding you online?
So they can text me if they like. Should I give you my phone number here?
Okay, up to you if you want.
Yeah, for sure. They can text me at 773-791-9589. Again, 773-791-9589. I'm really good about getting back to people. You can also find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook. I answer all the DMs that I get. I try to be there for everyone, almost to a fault, right? Like, but that's what you got to do, especially when you're building. I'm in building mode. I have 88 real estate agents now that are trusting me with the process of how to be an EXP agent or how to level up. I saw the EXP because I went to EXP because I didn't want to make $200,000 anymore. I wanted to make $1 million, and I saw that at EXP. I think new agents that are struggling, there's just so many different things at EXP that are going to help you out. So, yeah.
All right, guys, there you have it. Jon, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of really great knowledge today, and I'm sure it's definitely going to help out a lot of people, so I appreciate that.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah. All right, guys, there you have it. Jon Missirlian, thank you so much for joining me today.
All right, thanks, Will.
Nowhere that we go is a one-way street. Nothing